I took off my clothes during a seizure. Has anyone experienced something like this before? It's the first time for me. And at the same time, I started fighting with 3 doctors who were holding me down, my mother, and I'm not really a violent person. I feel horrible, but I don't remember this. Has anyone experienced this before?
One, don't feel horrible, seriously.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
no.
don't feel horrible. You have
The
no
guilt
control,
comes.
man.
The guilt
It's,
comes.
yeah.
It
wasn't you.
No, it wasn't you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Has anyone ever taken off their clothes?
I have
Not,
woken up.
I wouldn't know.
no, not that I know of.
I mean, I had one in the shower before. Does that count?
I guess that's just as embarrassing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just as embarrassing.
I think I probably did too. I have woken up because I had one, a nocturnal one, and I've like, pulled my pajama shirt off and thrown it across the room or something like that. But thankfully,
You
never
were
in
hot or
public.
something.
My gosh. Yeah.
But the restraints, like the restraints on the hospital bed are just as bad. I thought I was in custody for something.
Yeah.
I didn't remember what was going on, and then I see this, and I was like, "Oh no, this is definitely some like forensic file shit. I did something wrong."
Yeah.
So
That's
I've cut
why
myself like plenty of times with a knife. I know these happen when I'm chopping things up in the kitchen, and I'm just thinking one of these times, oh no, this must have been the time I really screwed up.
that was part of waking up in the hallway was I was also restrained on the gurney. So I like couldn't move. I was in a K-hole, didn't know what was going on. And I was like, I'm in limbo or like something. I got shot. I'm in limbo. I'm something. Didn't know what was going on. But
Have anybody ever woke up cuffed?
no.
Restrained was on the gurney was the worst.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I woke up like handcuffed to the gurney.
I wasn't
They didn't
handcuffed,
even
but
use
wow.
Oh wow.
The soft restraints, that's
They
that.
said I said I was gonna kill myself.
Oh, no.
Then use the soft restraints. That's
Exactly. What the hell is a budget in your
I
county?
was in cuffs.
Yeah.
So
That's
I'm sitting there messing with
crazy.
the cuffs afterwards, can't get out, and I'm
Yeah.
calling people, and they weren't
Even
coming.
the
I can break
gurney
these cuffs.
restraints are like, if you're going to go through one, that can cause like something like I can't
Bleeding,
think of it.
cuts, whatever. Ligament
Dislocation.
damage.
Dislocation.
Yeah.
I was curious. I just had this question earlier when people were talking about not remembering things. Has anyone ever tried to use therapy to try like remember? Has
Yeah.
anyone done therapy for some of this stuff? Has anyone seen like a therapist to talk about some of their experiences or anything?
I talked to a therapist about being lonely. I haven't talked to them about my memory. I was like, it's cool having you here, talking to you once a week. Yeah.
I
Was
I
gonna
had
do
to
it.
do mandatory psychiatry therapy for suicide attempts, but I've talked to them about PTSD and that type of stuff,
yeah. Sailor Mom, you were gonna say something?
Oh, I was just gonna say I've had therapy, over the years, for different things.
Yeah.
And then I was setting it up to do it for this. But they wanted me to sign like a 20-page packet saying I would take the SSRIs and I would do this and that, and it was a big thing. And so I canceled it. And then
Yeah.
the next time I talked to them, they contacted me to ask why. And I told them, and they were like, well, you don't have to sign that. It's okay. And so then I was going to set it up again, but I don't know. I haven't gotten to it because,
Apathy.
well, we moved and just.
Well, no, I mean, I'm not, yeah, don't, yeah, I understand the not wanting to set up another appointment after attempting to do it and not,
And it being
yeah,
it was so demeaning. the
It's
paperwork
like
was
you got to
so
find one that
demeaning. And I
takes
was
your
like,
insurance.
It was like, we know you're effed up. You're gonna have to take this medication, stuff like that, if you want us to try to help you. Like, yeah. I and especially doing SSRIs, like with epilepsy medication, I can't imagine it's safe to just toss on more
well,
brain
I know, and that was my
chemically
whole thing. I was
altering
like,
stuff.
but like, I don't know that just taking whatever you guys give me is necessarily the best idea. For one thing,
Yeah.
I've had trouble with SSRIs in the past, and my husband
Oh
didn't
yeah.
want me to take
Was it
SSRIs,
Zoloft?
and yeah, it was
My mom has taken Zoloft for about 20 years, and she tried to lower her dosage, and that's when we found her suicide note as children
yeah. I
was,
mean, there's
and
some
yeah.
things,
Yeah, I think Zoloft
I
was.
had a complete. I don't even know what happened, but I was on. Gosh, I guess what is the number one thing they always put you on to start?
Lexapro.
No, that that's new.
I was gonna
That's what
say,
I'm
as
on
It would have
now.
been
now.
about 95,
Okay.
1995. So yeah, but they put me on something, and I kind of had sort of a disassociation sort of a thing where just
Hmm.
for a couple months I don't even remember all that much
I
about
mean,
it.
it's probably what Anne was saying, like the dopamask, where you overload your brain with like dopamine, where you just kind of lose sense of who you are for a while. It's just
Yeah, I did. My grandfather was passing out Bibles at the local university, and he went to cross the street to use the bathroom, and he was hit by a bus
oh
in
my
a
God,
crosswalk. And he lived about 40 days in the ICU, and every time he would wake up from the sedation, he would pull out his breathing tube because he was a surgeon and he was trying to ask what was wrong with him.
hmm.
Uh, and so, yeah, that was, and
I'm so sorry.
oh no.
No, just
It
my
was like
condolences.
19.
Yeah.
It was 30 years ago.
Ew,
But so that was why I sought help in the
it's
first place.
traumatic
Hmm.
to see too.
Oh yeah, yeah, Pawpaw, it was bad. And then his wife died about 2 months later of cancer. So it was like the only thing holding her here was him.
Yep.
And he was
And when
perfectly
he
healthy.
passed,
And so I guess they took him so that she would let go. I don't know.
mm,
But anyway, yeah. That was but so then I did therapy for that, but I had had it before. And then that time I tried SSRIs and I ended up having to go off them because it was not.
yeah, yeah.
And then when my father passed away from cancer when I was 22, I didn't sleep for more than 2 hours a day or night for over a year. And finally, one of my friends convinced me to go to the doctor. And even if they had to put me on SSRIs or sleeping meds, to just go ahead, try. And I did. And it did work out better. But yeah, but I'm still, cautious about that stuff. It's
Yeah.
very.
Someone I dated in college, she uh, got put on SSRIs like a year into our relationship, and I know it was just a miserable experience for her.
It
It
can
was,
be. It can be. And you
yeah,
never know what you're getting into.
yeah,
So that's when they said you have to sign this and do this. I was like, oh, I'm
yeah.
not, as much as I would like to talk to somebody or try to work through some of this stuff, I don't think that's the best idea.
No, I would
It
say
was.
I would just recommend, maybe giving it another try, because you don't have to take the SSRIs. Like,
Yeah.
and 90% of therapy, honestly, is finding the right doctor, finding the right therapist who you can trust, who you think is going to help you.
Hmm.
And I just think therapy, honestly, is such a beneficial thing. Like, every single person needs to at least attempt it sometime in their life. And just a way
Yeah.
for you to share trauma with someone else that you're not able to handle yourself, that let them handle it for you for a little bit, and then give you answers, give you suggestions on how you can handle it.
I was lucky enough to have the
Even
same.
just to hear you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, I was lucky enough to have the same therapist when I was 14, and then I went back to her when my grandfather died when I was 19, and then I went back to her
So they knew
again
you.
when I was like 23.
Wow.
But she has passed away, and so I cannot contact her. But anyway, she would have been in a different state anyway, so
Yeah.
it's all right. But yeah, I'm looking into it. I gotta find somebody.
Yeah.
Has anyone heard
My
anything about like
my
hair
wife
loss?
About what?
Hair loss.
Yeah.
You're
I've heard
looking at
stuff
it.
about these pills causing hair loss before,
You're looking at the
but I never
crows
really looked into it.
I don't
or
have
the
hair
widow's
loss.
peak. Uh,
Like
I'm
like
losing it as we speak.
Uh, yeah, mine's
it's
pretty
funny.
thin.
I don't have hair loss,
Yeah, you got a nice head of hair there. I'm jealous.
Yeah, it does.
but when I clean the bathroom and stuff, it's the people who have long hair that are losing their hair. It's like
I Pookie's probably most afraid of hair loss. I mean, I can't imagine one of those dreads coming out. Like
Yeah, that would be bad.
that would be devastating.
I'm gonna get them taken out.
Was that
I got somebody who's gonna cut them and take them out,
Yeah?
really?
wash them, and clean them all
Redo 'em?
up. And then I'm gonna dye them all blonde, and they're gonna put them back in.
Nice. How long have you had them?
Longer than I had epilepsy. I got them done on my 16th birthday.
That's
Um,
awesome.
Oh.
And then later on, well, since my birthday's in August, my 16th birthday, I got diagnosed with epilepsy once I started school. So after August, and I was 16 when I found out I had epilepsy. So somewhere after
Wow.
somewhere after when I got the dreads, I was diagnosed, and I've had them both ever since.
Hey, maybe once the dreads go, the epilepsy goes. You never
Yeah,
know.
right. Wouldn't
Don't
that be
threaten me
nice?
with a good
Oh, that's
time.
a mile marker. Definitely something for the timeline. When you guys were talking about the therapy helping, I was in the same place. I went to therapy for something else for a little while. But honestly, what brings back memories for me is like the most random stuff, like episodes of Fresh Prince or like something, old school songs that I would never have like listened to or heard otherwise. And daughter's going through TikTok and somebody has like this old song by some like metal band, and I was like, wait a minute, now I think I remember what my first car was, and it comes
yeah,
out of nowhere.
Interesting. Interesting.
certain words or certain things just like trigger it.
Yeah, that's why I'm excited to take a trip, because what if scents bring it back too? I know
Mm-hmm.
air, like everything just smells different in the mountains, and everything does in Florida.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
I'm
I
out of
think
this swamp as soon as possible.
I think smells are honestly just from all the phantom smells I get, maybe it's that, but I feel like depending on where I'm at, the smell just can trigger auras or whatever, or make me at least think I'm having auras. I don't know. Definitely
Do you get that from
influences.
food smells sometimes, like cooking smells?
Oh yeah. Oh
Yeah, I've heard
yeah.
that's a big one.
Uh-huh.
For real.
That's why I have to be cautious about what I eat sometimes, is because like rich foods like meats and cheeses and stuff like that, the smell can be so overwhelming. And that it's crazy it's taken me so long to realize, but it's like an overwhelming smell causing probably an overload in my brain or something like that. And it just makes sense. But and then also like when I had them playing video games with my friends, it's always when they're talking all at once and stuff. Like there's just a ton going on while I'm playing the game.
Right.
And
You're trying to
I'm
hear
like,
everybody at one time.
oh, it's a panic attack because everyone's talking at once. But no, there's a million things going on and my brain's fucking up.
Yeah,
Yeah, I guess that's
it's
like
like
sensory overload.
trying to
Mhm.
focus on one thing.
But yeah, a million things going on. Pookie looks like you got a new post.
Yeah, it was quite a long one. I'm just gonna go get into it. Anyone have myoclonic epilepsy as an adult? I haven't seen much of anything about being an adult with myoclonic seizures. When I search the web about it, it's mainly those Mayo Clinic BS, nothing about anyone else's real life experiences. So I guess I'm wondering if anyone else has generalized tonic-clonic epilepsy along with myoclonic seizures. It feels somewhat nice to have a community of people who understand seizures, but I feel extremely alone with the myoclonic stuff. Everything I read about it has to do with adolescence, and that's when it started, which is accurate to what it is, but it has worsened as I've gotten older, and it puts a huge halt on my life because sometimes there's so many that they are so clustered together that I've had to have my mom feed me, hold my drinks, walk me to the bathroom and from the bathroom, help me bathe. Like I couldn't hold anything myself or hold anything up for more than 2 seconds. It's another jerk and something is flying out of my hand and I'm collapsed in the shower with a concussion again. And the whole time I feel like I'm being electrocuted, constantly electrocuted. It's incredibly debilitating, physically and mentally painful. The only medication that has worked to prevent the jerks from coming in clusters like that is Klonopin. It's the only saving grace that I found works so that I can feed myself and function properly. I feel like these clustered attacks and myoclonic jerks has caused a TBI now or something. Like I did 10 whippets, like I did whippets for 10 years every day, every second straight. I guess I've got the cure for it with the medicine, but I guess it's just something I wish would go away. Like I'd much rather have just the generalized epilepsy, the whole myoclonic on top of put on top of that though. Good Lord, I'm exhausted. My brain works at the same rate as an 88-year-old man. And I'm only 20. And I feel like my grandfather with early onset dementia. My doctor said it's a little harder to control them, but they may worsen as I get older since they have been very persistent in being a part of my life. I don't know. I guess with the myoclonic epilepsy as an adult, I'm just so confused, and all of this has me lost. I'm not sure what to do or if this can or will ever go away and be clustered attacks of these. I mean, from days to weeks of laying in bed because every 2 seconds it's another jerk, and then eventually I just have a seizure. But it's like having a million quick full of seizures on awake to build up to a grand mal seizure. I haven't been able to hold a job in a while because of how debilitating this is, and it's left me. I don't know. My brain is starting to malfunction, so I apologize if this is a bit confusing. Sorry if you had to read all that. Yeah, I had to read all that.
I mean, first off, I'm sorry. That's terrible at 20 years old. I can't imagine going through that. Um, the first thing I want to say is, yeah, myoclonics are typically children or adolescents, but you are only 20. Um, you have so much of your life left, and I hope those myoclonics go away. And I don't mean to minimize or take away from any support that you deserve. But you do need to be a little honest with yourself. I mean, you said you've been doing whippets for 10 years, or you were doing whippets for 10 years. Like, you just have to be a little honest with yourself and understand that that probably did some damage to your brain and could be a significant reason why you're having these seizures now. And it's probably going to be a little bit of just accepting that and just working on, treating it, getting rid of them.
Yeah, it sounds like myoclonics is a lot of how it gets initially diagnosed, especially for ones, like you said, adolescents and high school and like early college years. But that sounds like somebody who's just really overwhelmed with having to accept that it is a way of life, that is a major change in life at a critical point in your life. And that whole post just sounds like an overwhelming, what do I do now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Getting,
And it's hard to
like,
get like the
for me,
best advice from anywhere
yeah,
except
for
for here.
me, and like, I was thinking, Pookie might relate to this too. Getting diagnosed when you're a teenager, like you're still going to puberty and stuff, and it's like you're it's the whole hormone things again, your whole body chemistry is changing and everything.
You're still
And
going through puberty at 20. Like you're not going to stop developing in your brain till you're
yeah,
24, 25.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
And I've had myoclonic jerks, seizures, whatever, and I didn't get diagnosed till 44. But
Yeah.
I mean, whatever. I certainly wasn't doing whippets, and I well,
I've
I
done
did,
my fair share.
for a while they did, the doctors do kind of act like, what'd you do to cause this? But once they figured it out, an infant can't give themselves a brain injury. That's just not something they possibly can do. So whatever.
And I did not mean to say that you gave yourself
No, I
those
know,
with
but I'm saying like,
whippets. All right.
in that way, I'm just thinking, gosh, I know myoclonic seizures are usually teens and young people. The ones that I've had, it's surprising, obviously, since I didn't start till I was 44, but yeah, I have had that, and I'm sorry, it does suck, but usually it doesn't necessarily keep me in bed for days, and maybe sometimes it does lead up to a big seizure. I don't know that I
Make
have
sure you're
any.
taking your meds too.
Yeah, and I am definitely taking my meds. I mean,
Or well, the person who posted, they didn't mention like any medication
yeah,
they're
are
on or
they doing
anything. So like,
anything? Have
yeah,
they
make
been
sure
to the
you're
hospital?
taking
Have they
meds.
had the big test? The freaking,
I believe they said they were on Klonopin.
Oh, okay.
Well, I
So
mean,
Did they say that?
that's another thing.
Klonopin's
I am
one.
on Klonopin, and it is one that does something, but it also is a dangerous drug. This is the one my husband wants me to
Yeah.
get off of because it causes dementia, and it's like 100% chance, if you've taken it for any length of time. So he's
20.
really pretty
You
serious.
you have to
No,
be wary of getting off of it.
I'm
he
scared
mentioned
because it's one
Klonopin
that's
and
lasted and worked for me for a long time, and just looking at
20. At
Like
20
no,
years
any
yeah.
old.
benzo, you have to worry about getting off of it because
I hope that's not the first medication that they put you on because I feel like that is gross
that's way
negligence if
too
that's
yeah,
strong.
well, for a
what.
20-year-old, certainly.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
Yeah.
For me, I went through a dozen medications before we even found anything
Before
that did anything.
when you said
But they
Klonopin, I was
mentioned
like, I mean, yeah, that
clusters,
will stop
so
your jerks a little bit, sure, but that's just the way Klonopin works. I mean, it's just gonna like
It
yeah.
mellow
deadens the
you
ability
out
for your brain to
for
send out all those.
yeah.
And thank God for that.
Yeah.
But still,
But still,
Right? They
it's not
said
a good
It's like
drug to be taking at 20.
yeah, I mean, at
Definitely
20,
more risk
yeah,
versus reward
no.
again.
Yeah.
we're talking they're doing it 29 years. They would be taking it to be where I am right now.
Yeah.
And that's a very, very scary thing to imagine you would be getting dementia at this point. Right?
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
scared of getting it when I'm 60 or 50. Or 70. So,
Yeah.
Getting it at
and I've
all.
only been on it a few years. So I
Yeah.
don't know if I would be doing that.
And it's used as a rescue med too.
Yeah, exactly, right. You're using it as a rescue med. It can be used as a rescue med. I've had to, when I ran out of my lorazepam, jump into my regular pills because the one I have is a dissolvable pill that you can put under the tongue. But it's certainly, now that my husband's done all this research on it, I'm like, a lot more
aware and
ready to
worried.
get off of it, and I certainly wouldn't be doing it when I was 20.
For your
That's just
guys' rescue med, when do you guys take it? When you like, cause I mean, I can't really tell when the grand malls are coming on or anything like that. Like, and it's not like my auras last for a significant amount of time.
Mhm.
So it's like I feel like I'd be gambling on whether or not I should be taking my rescue med, you know.
So what my epileptologist told me from the very start was that the rescue med is also to be taken after you come out of the seizure.
Okay. Okay.
Because, well, I don't know why, but probably because
Or
he's
if you
thinking
can't stop
you can
seizing.
have another one, and you can run into another cluster,
Yeah.
Gotcha.
or something like that.
Mhm.
But even so, I think that goes for everybody, right? Like if you have one, you take the rescue med. If you know you're going to have one, you take it to try to stop it. If you don't know you're going to have one and you have it anyway, you take the rescue med afterwards. Is that
Afterwards. Okay.
universal, everybody, or not?
No, my
Yeah,
my
I
doctor
never
told
took
me
mine
not
because
to take it
never
unless
took it.
I'm like going
I
through it and done,
I think it
or
depends
if
on
I
the
can't
rescue
stop
med.
seizing and
Right,
it's been too damn long.
Mm-hmm.
right.
Because I think like taking lorazepam or Klonopin or something like that after a seizure or something like that is probably a little more dangerous than taking it or taking a nasal spray or something like that after a seizure. So probably depends on what
Yeah.
the medication is.
Yeah, probably. Probably.
You would think the nasal spray probably has a like more direct effect, right?
Mm-hmm. I feel like it's probably is it steroid or is an adrenaline thing or what?
I don't know what it is. I have nasalium, and I was at the
Let me get
Social
one.
Security office, and another guy had epilepsy, and he said he takes that, and he said it knocks him right out within a minute.
All right,
I'm
heard.
like, do you want to do? Should we want to go to sleep after the seizure? Is that what we should
It's
do?
like-
Well,
I mean, shutting off brain activity
No, the
might reduce the chance of
clonazepam
another.
rescue med stopped the shaking, but
right.
when I was shaking for hours, come on, yeah, I'm gonna want to go to sleep.
Yeah, no, you need
Nasal
to because you.
is a benzo. It's a benzodiazepine
Yeah, the
class.
nasal spray.
Yeah, yeah, that's a
Okay.
nasal and I'm just googling it really quick, and it said it is a benzo, and the administration is, as a rescue med, does not require the person to inhale deeply, so that's another
Oh yeah,
reason.
don't.
Okay.
Yeah,
Having done it many, many times, because just
right.
I automatically, if somebody puts a nasal spray up my nose, if I'm
You
conscious, I'm going
inhale.
to inhale it because I had, sinus surgery as a kid. So like all
I did take
nasal
nasal
stuff my
spray.
whole life. So I would, and I have no mucus membranes to like stop stuff from going up into my sinuses. So if I inhale, it just goes, "Wah," and then it burns. Oh, it burns for so
Oh
long.
yeah, the
Hurts.
headache after
Oh
a
God.
nasal lamb. I guess maybe I inhaled it too. Obviously,
Don't
I
do
don't
it.
remember,
It's
but
taken me a long time to stop.
I mean, if it knocks me out, I'd be happy because that's all I want to do after a seizure is just sleep for the next 6 hours until that headache goes away. Like
Yeah,
the
if you can do it without
post-ictal
inhaling
headache
it, like just let
hurt
them spray it up, then it's usually, yeah, I can
hurt a
usually
little
sleep a
better.
little bit.
I had
yeah,
it,
I
and
don't
I
know if
didn't
the
even
headache
know
was
what it was. I had
yeah.
nasalium, and I had it in the box. I didn't open it until I did the first episode of this, and I was showing it, and I was like, someone told me about this, and I opened it, and that was the first time I've ever seen nasalium. And someone was like, that looks like, he was like, that looks like Narcan. And yeah,
Nasalium, there he is.
Yeah.
I got some at home on my room floor somewhere.
Apparently, I wasn't allowed to go home with that until my doctor signed off on it, even though he's the one who sent the referral out.
Yeah, they're
Like,
calling it another controlled substance. Keep away from children. Got it with the stockpile that's like in the highest cabinet.
oh,
Yeah.
fun,
Is that the
fun.
thing? Do you just like use that, or you got to add
This little
something
guy
to it?
here? Yeah. So
Yeah.
you just pull the back off it, pull the little guy out, and then they have to stick this up your nose and push that little
Trigger,
guy up.
yeah.
Yep.
Oh,
Well,
okay.
I told them I'm gonna have it in my fanny pack at all times. If I ever have a seizure, I told them toss it up my nose,
Yep.
bring me
And don't
back.
do more than 2.
Right.
Heard.
And especially if you have like a lorazepam or a Klonopin or something like that they're doing a pill and then a nasal spray and still trying to bring you out of it. We've done 4. Not a good idea. Don't do that. My epileptologist
No,
had an absolute hissy fit.
I mean, I can't imagine how those mix together.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Well, he was more like, you're literally going to stop your heart. You don't weigh enough to do that. You can't do that. And I
That's
was like, but I
fair.
didn't do it.
The neurologist who gave me those, she just gave them to me, and then she was like, "Don't do more than 3 a day or 12 a week." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And I just never
Doctor
used
would
it
have
because
a fit.
I don't need a rescue medication because I'm personally not going to be able to get to it.
Well, that's what my mom told me to get a
Yeah.
rescue med. I'm like, I live alone. You think I'm gonna be able to administer a rescue med while I'm having a grand mal?
I
Like,
have never given myself a
Yeah.
nasal spray ever, but we've probably gone through, oh my gosh, I don't even know, like 50 of them at least
yeah.
or
Yeah,
more.
I've never been. I'm not going to be able to do that to myself afterwards. I
Yeah.
might not even think about it at
No,
all.
because you're
Yeah.
all, you can't
I'm
I
trying to
hate it
figure out
the
if I even
most
had a
because I feel like
seizure.
I feel like I'm disoriented for longer.
Mm.
And I know it's been a
Oh,
long seizure already, or it was a cluster, but I don't know whether to blame the nasal or the seizures for being so out of it for so long, and I don't want to go to sleep because I'm feeling like, I'm about to die anyway.
right.
So it's
You want to
it's
stop breathing in
confusing.
your sleep? That would be fun, right?
Yeah, it's just definitely not pleasant with the nasal ever.
For sure. For sure. It's not. I don't ever like it, and he has gotten to the point where he doesn't like to give it to me unless like the lorazepams just are not doing anything. And even
yeah.
then, he's kind of like,
I have
and
Yeah,
I
to.
hate
calling
Once
anything a
you,
rescue med just seems like too ironic. I never feel
Uh-huh.
rescued after the
it.
you
nasal
got
It
Latin
keeps me
now,
alive, but I
rescue
feel
med too.
worse.
Yeah,
But
I
double-edged
got
once you
sword
get
there.
onto
chlamydia.
the benzos,
Oh,
oh
damn light.
no,
My damn room.
it's
So,
like
you ready, Angel? You can go ahead.
I'm sorry.
I was waiting for Angel to finish.
Yeah, me too. Angel, what was
go
that?
ahead. I said once you get onto the benzos, it's like, oh no. Like I did my research and it's like it's gotten really serious then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was pretty. As soon as they tried the Keppra and just my epileptologist got a hold of me immediately. He was like, "No, we're gonna do 3 Klonopin a day, and we're gonna try this med, and then this med, and it was always a combination, but it almost always included Klonopin, and I did.
Yeah.
Gosh, I can't even. I wish I could remember how high a dose of the oxcarbazepine is. Some of them are just outrageously high doses, and I think, my goodness, what does that do to your liver too?
When anything gets into the thousands, it just
Yeah,
sounds
no, I mean,
I
really
mean,
the
intimidating.
oxcarbazepine, I think I was taking like 3,000
the
milligrams a
fact
day
that,
with other stuff, plus the
yeah,
Klonopin and
no,
this,
that's
and then
insane.
Exactly.
Epidiolex.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Where
When
are we
he
going at
says
this point?
I was taking 2,000 milligrams of Keppra, he's bumping me up. I was like, that's a lot, but then it's like a medium dosage. People are taking
They have you doing that
4,000
once
a
a day or
day and
twice?
stuff. Just one. It's 1,000 milligrams twice a day.
Right.
I was
But like
taking
people are taking
4,000 of
2,000 twice a
Keppra.
day and stuff. Like,
Yes, that's what they have me on I mean, as prescribed is
mhm.
5,000, but
Oh,
Yeah.
no
Are
way
you
I'm
taking
letting
5 of those
Wow.
baby boy
pills,
get
or do they
that.
have bigger pills?
I have the
I
I
think you
break them
might
in
have
half
the
there,
750.
Okay.
whatever that word is.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's what I'm actually taking is half of what they're prescribing, but that's I know that's not the most responsible thing. I just can't risk anything happening to him because I know I was never on this
Oh,
much medication with my daughter.
yeah, that's fair. My whole
I was
thing
on
is like,
Keppra. It
go
was like
ahead.
What was that?
4,000 milligrams plus the
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lamictal.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, And I just had the Kepa rage in the neurologist's office.
Oh,
And he's like,
God.
yeah, you're coming off of it.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
Well,
coming
at
off
least
of
that's
it.
good. At least
Yeah,
they paid
that'll catch his
He
attention.
cared
attention
enough
at
to.
least, get him to listen to you.
Right.
I mean,
It's
like,
like,
I'm
look at me. What's happening to me?
Mhm.
until I start going crazy, I'm happy to take as much Keppra as they
Now,
prescribe
you
me
know
because
what?
those
If it works for you,
auras
that's great. There are lots of
and
people that we,
yeah.
have read about and talked to online that are just fine with Keppra, and
And that's the
great.
thing, is like if they're still prescribing it as like the first medication,
It's
then there must
always
be
the
some
first thing they
success
start
out
with.
there. Yeah, there must be
Yes.
success
Yeah.
with it.
Yeah.
I think it's
I
just
think
one of
when
the
I was
most
young, the first
inert.
thing we started with was Dilantin.
Yeah. Well, I have ended up on Dilantin after, all these other things. Vimpat, oxcarbazepine, Lamictal, Keppra,
Yes.
cenobamate, phenytoin,
Plain
Ixcopri.
sodium,
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't even say it.
phenytoid sodium. That's Dilantin.
I
Okay.
mean, look at now.
Just come up with names that
No,
we
but it's
can
not.
pronounce.
Sodium phenyl is Dilantin. This is some other one. It's another one that they
Oh.
said
Okay.
failed, and I don't know what it is. I'm like, I don't even remember that, but obviously it didn't work.
Do you guys know how to pronounce Kepra's like actual name? Levetiracetamine or something like that? Or
I
Yeah,
say
levetiracetam?
see,
levetiracetam, but Anne,
Levetiracetam.
I say levetiracetam, but I think Anne is the lady who was on here before that
uh-huh.
has known things for like longer than I've been alive, and
Yeah,
she
she's
said
brilliant.
it's different. Yeah, I
I
think she said levetiracetam, and that sounded more like the
Oh, that
pharmacist.
that does sound like a farmer. I always called it Levi. I literally was like, oh, I gotta take my Levi for the day.
Right.
And
Yeah.
but no, dude, I've always just pronounced it levetiracetamine or
Yeah, I know. I mean,
levetiracetamine,
I
even though
think
there's
I
no me.
mispronounced a lot of things, but like I have them written down properly. I just don't know.
No medication is
And it's been
phonetic.
years since I've been on a lot of these
emphasize
things.
like random vowels, and you don't know how many syllables are even there.
Which ones are long vowels, which ones are short.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like if I'm
Cenobamate.
doing homeschool, this is when I'm gonna know my child's a genius if they can ever pronounce my medication list.
Yeah.
Hey, the reason I called him the success story, because he wasn't taking his pills, he was living alone, and he was going to work on a train. And I was like, and you're not having seizures? And he was like, every now and then. And he wasn't taking pills. And I was just like, he's the success story.
But that's before I knew my auras were
His memory is
seizures.
still
That's
I
good.
was
right.
His memory is still
having
great.
Yeah.
I was
It's
having
better
like,
to be safe than sorry, right? I mean,
Yeah.
I'm
and that's what
sorry,
I've
but
learned. That's what I've learned. But
I
no,
hate
I
that
was
about
just
myself
ignorant.
too.
You guys taught me. You guys saved me, honestly, from living a dangerous lifestyle. So thank you.
Well, good,
My
Hey,
mom would
I
thank
used to
you.
think the most dangerous lifestyle was like LSD and all these psychedelics, but now I'm thinking like maybe they had it right in the 70s. Everybody was happier, weren't they?
I've taken some way too many shrooms sometimes. I'm good on shrooms. I've had some horrible experiences on psilocybin. It doesn't work for me. LSD, on the other hand, shit, that stuff is the greatest drug in the world. I would, holy shit. If anyone has some LSD,
So, focal epilepsy, length of seizures. I'm curious about this focal epilepsy. How long do your seizures last? I know these are specific to individuals, but it would be interesting to know. My daughter has focals that last a minimum of 15 to 20 minutes,
Oh, that's
and she
bad.
requires rescue medications every seizure to stop them.
Yep.
whoa, that's long. Yeah, I mean,
That's
I
too
wonder
long.
what they're describing or what they're considering the seizure, though. I mean, is it while she's having her little like twitches and repetitive motions and like
You said
actually
That's
in
focal.
it?
cluster.
Or is it the whole time that she's just like zoned out and kind of like
is she
spaced out
Right.
is she
afterwards?
coming back? And yeah,
Right.
I
It
mean,
sounds
because
like
like
maybe a
what,
focal unaware.
like
That's
That's
15
what I
minutes
mean.
of actual seizure is like brain damage area.
Yeah.
Like you're
Yeah.
is she's actually having those little myoclonic tendencies of like humming or like licking your lips or just like, I don't know if I'd like scratch my ear or something, but if that's actually lasting more than like 3 to 5 minutes, that does
And
sound pretty
I'm
serious.
not saying she has brain damage. I'm saying can lead to brain damage,
That's the
like that
time period
long
in which
of.
they
Treated.
start to worry
Understand
about it. And
Mhm.
Yeah.
I've had ones that were like 45 minutes, and that's my doctor had an absolute hissy
Wow.
fit. That's
Mhm.
so too long,
You
right?
should have been. You
Wow.
should have rescue medded. They
Oh, we
should have given
did.
you
Oh, we
some.
did.
No,
That was
and
where he
that's
was like,
unfortunate.
4 things? No, you should be there at
Oh,
the
that's.
hospital already.
You're like, well, yeah, but okay,
And then
And
Yeah.
that's
and
when
then
you
what do
tell
they
your
do at the
family
hospital?
not to call
Except
the ambulance.
they
You
just put a
don't want that
freaking
ambulance
IV,
bill.
and like
No one wants the
mhm.
ambulance bill.
Honestly, I'll say the IV is the worst part about the doctor's visits.
going to
I
the
hate
ER.
shots, and when
I
they
got
put in
all
the
these
IV
dots on
in,
my arm because of the
I,
IVs.
I look like I'm a heroin addict. I got like
Right?
track marks all up my arm, but
Or
I
on
just
your
Man,
tell them
hands.
I'm
How's
work.
that?
telling
When they put them on the back of your hands, and you're like,
Uh-huh.
I can't even give
you.
like
Mhm.
my card to somebody at at a store.
It's
I can't.
so hard to clench like anything. I could
Yeah.
never snap after.
It
That's so
hurts so
annoying.
much. Oh yeah.
So just to answer the question, I've mentioned it before. My like auras and focal seizures don't last long. Mine only last for 30 seconds to a minute, really. And I don't, not that I've known, lose like full consciousness or anything during them. I'm just very, it's a wave of deja vu, panic attack like symptoms, heart rate spikes, and I just kind of not zone out, but I'm in my head. I'm just way overthinking, just too much going on.
Yeah, it's the same with me, but I feel stupid for like at least half an hour after. Like
Mm,
nobody will leave me alone or let me go anywhere like
I'm,
unsupervised, basically.
mhm.
Does
yeah.
Because
anyone trust
that's
themselves
Not
like
riding a
even
bike?
that's a precursor to clusters for me.
Does anyone trust themselves riding a bike?
Uh,
Really, I wanted to.
No, same
shouldn't.
here.
for a bit
Same
So
here.
when I
that's
was
fine.
probably about his age, but
Here, I'll show you the first purchase I made after I totaled my car. It's an electric bike, and I
I
realized how
knew you were gonna
dangerous
say that.
that probably
Awesome.
is for me to ride because, yeah, when you're
oh, I
going
had a pure
20 to 30 miles per hour on a bike with seizure tendencies, yeah, you can probably get just as injured in a car.
Well, let's just pray
Yeah,
that was
so
not another recall for the batteries blowing up or something.
Right, right.
so check this one out. It says electric bikes. That's why I
Oh,
asked. If you're currently on the fence as whether or not to get that shiny new fancy electric bike that is now looking a lot more appealing now that your driver's license has been canceled, just do it. After roughly 4 years of owning one due to a decision of that magnitude, my advice is just do it. Perfectly good for getting me to and from work or any
Mhm.
other backpackable grocery run or event. Relative to any
I'm
sort of car
so sorry.
maintenance, everything on an e-bike that you'd worry about is still generally run-of-the-mill bike stuff, like bleeding hydraulic brake lines every so often and
Mhm.
cleaning and reapplying lube to your chain. However, considering the 20 mile per hour speeds, I would definitely consider axle suspension. My Gen 1 Aventon 500 does not have any, and any sort of death pothole is legitimately potential danger on this bike. That being
I
said, if you live in a metro sort of area, it might be more beneficial to have that over a car. Using myself as a reference, I'm currently in the process of selling my car after using it for more than just to move. It's still perfectly usable. Subaru Outback. He's trying to sell a car now.
if you guys can see that, I vouch for
What is
that. I was
it?
going about
Depends
20
on
miles
what
per
metro
hour.
area.
I I was
I'm
going
not selling the
20 on my
car.
bike and hit a pothole and crashed so hard on my electric bike, and it was not a fun time. But we're good. And yeah, I literally am gonna get like full pads if I ride that thing again because I'm not trusting myself to have a seizure on that bike. But
Yeah.
they're dangerous. They are dangerous.
Yeah. I'm like,
Yeah.
what metro area? Because they don't even pay attention to pedestrians now.
I don't know what area, but in the metro area, he said, and yeah, he said what you said, Tuna, about the potholes, and
Yeah, I
I just
have
won't ride.
scars. I I
I
want to
can't see
ride.
myself going that fast, 20 miles per hour
I used to
I
do
know what you mean.
on a bike.
That wind going through you with the bike and stuff.
I used to do triathlons, and that's something like I can't really do anymore. Is because if I try to swim and have a seizure, I'm gonna drown. If I'm biking 20 miles per hour on a speed bike, going downhill on a thing, I'm gonna die. Like
Mhm.
it just sucks that like that's the stuff that people don't realize we have to take into consideration before we do stuff.
Exactly.
Just something as simple as riding a bike.
I can't.
It,
Yeah.
I can't believe that I can't swim. Yeah, I
Walking
mean,
is
like
even worse.
like my
right?
closest friend had an Olympic in-ground pool, right? Because the
Oh,
person
wow.
who lived there was an actual Olympian before her.
Wow.
And so it was like 14 foot deep at one end. And I could,
Yeah.
and her kids and my kids were best friends, but two women, one having epilepsy and 8 kids.
Uh-uh. You
Even if all of them can
mm-mm,
swim, what happens if I fall in? Is she going to be able to pull me out? We each weigh 100
mm-hmm,
pounds. There's no way she's going to be able to pull
mm-hmm.
me to the other end. And then they moved from that house to another house with an in-ground pool, and I didn't feel comfortable like expecting somebody to watch me when I would go over there. So,
No.
yeah, yeah, definitely. And we even had an above ground pool. I used it 2 times last summer, even though it was, like 98 degrees all the time. Just because I was like, I don't want anybody to have to watch me.
I was so
Right.
Yeah, that's pretty
excited
annoying.
to go swimming this summer. I brought it up to my mom and she's like, I'm not letting you go swimming.
You have
She's
to wear a
like,
life vest or something, I
you're
guess.
not,
And I guess
yeah.
that's my future now.
But even with a life vest, like you
I
have
know.
one facing down
What if I
and
face down? I know.
yeah. I
So,
was reading a thing go ahead. Sorry.
oh, it's okay. I was just gonna say the, my dad and his best friend, which was my best friend's father growing up, they bought ski boats together. They were both single dads, and they had contests to see which kid could learn to water ski first, and I won. And we water skied for years, every weekend, and I love water skiing. But
I used to
my husband's talking
wakeboard.
about getting a boat, and I'm thinking I want to, I really, really do, but then I do worry, even with a ski vest. What if I pass
Yeah.
out? If I hit my head, somebody's gonna have to run out there and pull my head up. I don't know, but
I want to
I
I
think I
but
skydive.
tried
anyway,
to
so screw it.
rationalize one time.
skydive.
Yes.
I want to skydive at least once.
There you
Oh,
go.
At
See,
least
I
once.
yeah.
mean, we
See,
already
that
have
would
so
be,
many things we can't just go do.
but
So
But
no, you could
skydiving is one of those like
skydive.
assisted things.
That's
Like
the
somebody
one
Yes,
thing
jumps
I
in.
want to do. I
yes.
will live
Go with
stream it just so I can be like, someone with epilepsy can do this. Live
uh-huh.
stream.
well,
That's
can't
a
you
total
strap to
Yes.
bucket list
somebody
thing.
else and
Yeah.
skydive?
Exactly. That's what you
I don't
usually
want
do
to
is then
strap
you
to
Right.
have
someone
some
else. I want to be able to do it
oh, you want to do it
one
solo.
time, at least one time.
Fair, fair. I mean,
I'm
Well,
you
going to
can have
try
someone
5 times strapped to
you can
someone.
have someone
And then on the
nearby.
6th time, I'm going to go alone.
there you
Just have
go.
them jump off next to you. If you have a seizure, they can rescue you midair.
They
They're
just have
trained to
to
do
pull your
that.
chute and make sure you're
Yeah.
I couldn't
leaning the
But
right
imagine
way.
like flailing and stuff.
yeah. Kate, you were gonna say something.
I
Uh,
said I couldn't imagine just like
I
flailing all
it
over
was
the
just
place.
athletes in general. Athletes probably have to adjust more to these diagnoses than anybody else. And that's what it was. I think I tried to rationalize me being able to go swimming. You know, they plan these like extravagant family vacations, and I think the place is called like Gaylord Suites or Palms or something, and these like huge fancy hotels, and I said, okay, well, I'll wear the life vest, and I mean, if I'm having convulsions, I'll probably flip myself over,
Like a turtle.
I can make this work. We see
I
box
was at
turtles every day. I can do this.
I was at the doctor's this morning reading literature on how to seizure proof your house, and I never really thought about it, but I mean, one of the biggest things on there was the fact that you can suffocate while sleeping. Like it literally said only have one pillow in your bed and try to sleep on your back, because like you can suffocate yourself while in your bed. And I never even thought about that really. I sleep with two big comforters, and I'm a belly sleeper, so I'm like face down usually when I wake up. But like that's just, I don't know. I don't know how truthful that is, like how well you could suffocate in your sleep, but at the same time I could see it. Like you could
Well, it's a thing for infants. SIDS has been around for a
exactly.
long time. So,
Exactly.
They have a
Yeah.
pillow for that.
well, my
Now
mom and
that
I
you
were
say it,
discussing this tonight, and she was talking about pocket doors instead of, I think, what Anne brought up with the doors opening out rather than in, being able
Hmm.
to like block it. Pocket
Mhm.
doors really do seem like a better option.
A very safe option, yes.
Where are pocket
Exactly.
doors?
Where it
It's
slides
where it
open
slides into the wall.
Oh,
horizontally.
okay.
So it's
Okay.
flat and you
Yeah.
Yeah,
can
I
like
we
had a
actually
rotate.
got
wife,
that idea from
so
RVs.
I
Right.
mean, you get rid of the
she took up
knobs and
most of
stuff
the
that you can.
bed,
Yeah.
and it
What were you
was a
saying?
king size bed.
Do king sizes? I went
And
to
she
a
wasn't
hotel
that
for my
big. It was just like you're only allowed a tenth of the bed.
I went to my brother's wedding, and I got a king size bed all to myself in the hotel, and it was I literally looked to my left, and it was like having a field next to me. It was amazing.
Yeah.
Pookie, you're gonna say something. Uh,
yeah, I was since we were talking about athletes. I think Kate said something about athletes, and then I heard you say triathlon. Is that like bikes?
Biking,
That's all
swimming, and
three. Yeah.
running, all three. Yeah. You start swimming, you go into biking, and you finish running.
Okay, that was the next one. Epileptic runners advice. I'm running in the London Marathon in April, my first marathon ever. I've had about 25 seizures since the age of 12. I'm 29, including my first in 3 years this February. My seizures are decently controlled with sodium valproate, and I pretty much know exactly what my triggers are: poor sleep, stress, and drinking too much. I was wondering if anyone else had experienced running marathons and similar generalized epilepsy. My training is going okay, and I'm quite excited. I'm just worried about having anxiety on the day if, and that makes me have a seizure. Any tips to manage that? Is it is there also somewhere I can get a wristband or ribbon? You can get a
You should get
wristband.
an Yeah, you should get an emergency wristband for sure. Just honestly, every epileptic should have
Or
a emergency wristband or something.
Yeah, and then Rick said that he has made some epilepsy bracelets that he's
Yep,
convinced people to wear
yep.
too. And that would be like a more of a rather than a jewelry sort of a thing, more
Yeah.
something that they could wear while running or swimming or whatever.
But I mean, man, you've done the hardest part of it, training for it. The
Yeah.
fact that you have trained for it is success by itself. Like the amount of like stress that puts on your body training for a marathon, and the fact that you've been able to handle that, get to the point where you are, you should have zero anxiety going out there. You
Yeah.
should go out there fully content on just being there in the first place.
Yeah,
I've
just
started running,
reassured.
and one of the things that has stopped me, I only run like 2 miles maximum a day because I'm worried if I push myself, I'm gonna end up having a seizure. But man, you're about to run 26 miles or whatever. Is that right? 26 something miles?
26, yeah.
Like, come on. Like, please don't have any anxiety. Just go out there and run it for all of us. That's
Especially
all I
since
Yeah.
you
want to
are
say.
surrounded by the rest of the marathon runners. And this would be the
Yeah.
perfect platform or perfect example for advocacy, like for like just
Mhm.
general
Yeah.
like education for people.
Give them out to people. Just get
Exactly. This
something
would be
and
the
give them out.
perfect place for like flyers and pamphlets when you register for this marathon. Read this first, kind of thing, you
Yeah.
know.
And
If you see somebody
please,
going down or doing this, they should be wearing this bright blue bracelet and turn them on their side, you know, the whole thing. Make sure there's nothing in him, you know, in the way. And
I
Yeah, that's
better
what I was gonna
also
say about sleeping on the back is I was told I'm not supposed to sleep because that's how the suit up thing, how they
really
found me.
I sleep
So
on my
I
left.
always sleep on my side. The
heard.
pillow
I always
thing
sleep
I
on my
can
side as
get,
well.
but what's that?
I always sleep on my side as well. I can't sleep on my back. It's uncomfortable to begin with. And I also thought sleeping on your back is kind of dangerous. They tell people like who are having overdoses not to go on your back because you'll choke on your vomit and stuff. I thought that was very similar to like,
Yeah, I mean, because you
yeah,
can vomit if you're having a seizure.
exactly. Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah.
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 But just one more thing about that running.
Oh, I'm
I
sorry.
better, I better freaking see a video of you crossing that finish line posted to
Yeah.
Epilepsy
oh
Universe or
yeah,
something.
We want to
Like, I
see
want
it.
to see something and I want it to be out there. I want everyone to see an epileptic
that
finish a
would be the
marathon
success
because,
story for
And
yeah,
sure.
that
why don't you try doing some meditation? The night before, the morning
mhm,
of, to do
it's been
something to really
proven to
center
help.
yourself. Maybe that will calm you and keep you from lowering your
Yeah,
threshold or
you know they're
triggering.
going to be doing some stretches, you know, some
Right.
stretching,
Yeah.
loosen
Hmm.
up right before. So
Do some
just
Yeah,
remind
meditation while
yourself
you're
right
doing your
then, I'm
stretches.
prepared.
Yeah.
Oh,
that was
yeah.
13 days ago. So
Well, we
Oh,
hope
this
that
13 days
everything went
ago?
well.
Yeah.
If
Exactly.
they want.
Where's the
when are we
You,
video?
gonna see this? Hopefully,
yeah,
post
did
the
you,
video.
is this an Epilepsy Universe or is this Narcissus Epilepsy?
Just epilepsy.
Yeah, you should message him and just see if he finished and just get an update on that.
Yeah, definitely.
Right.
Because if he joins this group, we're going to like all have little flyer, little like those little celebration things or whatever they're called.